SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone, today we will be discussing about sustainability and eco-design. So the first and most important question we need to ask ourselves, are we sustainable or not? So this you need to think a little bit more, are we sustainable or not? So what do you think? Do you think we are sustainable? Do you think we are doing the right thing which we should do or not? So while we are thinking on that, let us see what is exactly is happening to the Earth's atmosphere. According to the climate.nasa.gov data from the NASA, it shows that the temperature of Earth goes in a cycle. So it increases over a period of time, multiple years, and then thousands of years, and slowly it is going to decrease, then slowly it's going to increase, slowly it's going to decrease, slowly it's going to increase, slowly it's going to decrease. So now we are seeing that the global atmospheric temperature is rising. So the question is that in any case, the global temperature is supposed to rise now, and it will decrease according to the finding. So do we need to really worry about this or not? The reason is that even though the global temperature is rising and falling, still there is an issue. Issue is that after 1950 level, it has been found that the cycle is broken. Temperature is going beyond what is the maximum temperature achieved in the previous cycle or the previous cycle. It is much, much higher now. So there is evidence that climate change is something which is happening. It is artificially done, especially for greenhouse gases. And there is now no question of issues or any doubt. And the Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change told something which is very important, that global temperature has rose beyond what it should have been now. So apart from that, there is a lot of scientific evidence also. Sea level rise. Global sea level rise by about 17 centimeters, 6.7 inches in the last century. And this is a very important issue. Maldives are vulnerable to sea changes. India also. Some of the coastal areas in India, part of Orissa, part of Mumbai, part of Kolkata, some part of Sundarban, and possibly some part of South India. One of the biggest challenge of seawater rise which is going to be there for USA is the New York. So don't expect that this is going to suddenly rise. No, slowly it's going to rise. Slowly we are going to get a effect of the sea water rise. It is going to change the useful area which is there for mankind in each of these areas where what I mentioned. This is something which is already happening, it's going to happen. Global temperature rise. Global temperature is rising enormously in the last few years. Warming oceans, the oceans has absorbed much of the increased heat the last many years. And due to heat, especially the top 700 meters, the heat is being absorbed. The temperature of the global oceans are rising. This is something which is something to really worry. Shrinking ice caps. The Greenland and Arctic Sea ice sheets have decreased in mass. Data from NASA's gravity recovery and climate experiment shows Greenland lost about 150 to 250 cubic kilometers. That is really a big amount, 36 to 60 cubic miles of ice per year from 2002 to 2006. Antarctica lost about 150 cubic kilometers of ice. India, there are a lot of reduction in the ice level in Himalayas. Declining Arctic sea ice. Glacial retreat, it is happening in India. You see the northern side in Himalayas. Glacial retreat. Extreme events. Ocean acidification, and that is going to have big impact on the flora and fauna of the ocean. Decreased snow cover. This is something like all these things are scientific evidence that this is happening. Changes will continue through the century and beyond. Temperature will continue to rise. Researchers have found out even if we stop all the emissions today, the effect of this emission, effect of the previous emissions will be still continue, because we are adding emissions every day and night in the atmosphere. So even if we stop all the new emissions today, the effect is still there. It will still increase the temperature of the earth. So this is something which is important to understand. Forced freeze seasons. Sometimes seasons are changing. So whenever we have cold on particular month, after a few years, it is changing now. Precipitation pattern. Our livelihood, especially in India and many other Asian countries, even part of the US and other countries also, livelihood of human beings is very much dependent on agriculture, and agriculture is affected predominantly by the rainfall. So if rainfall pattern changes, the agriculture will have an effect. More droughts and heat waves. Hurricanes will be stronger and intense. Sea level will rise to 1 to 4 feet. And then Arctic will become ice free. Sea level is rising. We are losing land. So the effect of this climate change are there. Humidity is changing. 10 indicators, air temperature is changing. Then temperature over oceans is increasing, sea level is sea surface temperature increasing. There are so many things which are not desirable are happening due to this climate change. There are other effects. We think the climate change is about temperature increase and all. That's not the thing. Climate change and resource reduction is going to have predominantly lot of other effects, which is it is a bigger effect also, especially in the, take for example, a war. Because of the resources are so limited nowadays, what we are doing, we are creating a lot of waste. You see a bottle of water, you go travel. Previously, during when we used to be child, our parents used to carry that water bottles made up either metals or other ways, recyclable. So we used to fill the water, use it, again bring it back, use it multiple times. So those are water bottles which are bigger size for the family, and then we used to carry that. Nowadays you'll go and buy mineral water bottle, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, drink it and then throw the bottle out. And we assume that somebody is going to pick up this water bottle, recycle it, or clean it or recycle it, and make a new water bottle and give it to us. That is not going to happen that easily. Who is going to do it? Did he pay for it? Nobody. So ultimately what is going to happen is that this material is going to go to landfill. Now what is happening in landfill? Let us go to understand a little bit in depth. Landfill is what is landfill? All these waste, plastic, sometimes metals, then sometime bio waste, sometime hazardous waste, sometime other waste, all this going in the landfill. So what is this landfill? Landfill is the place where all this waste has been dumped. But is it that only thing is happening? Every day, not 1 kg or 1000 kg, thousands of kgs of waste is being generated by bigger cities. Why is the space to keep all this landfill? There is no space much in the city. Designated spaces are getting filled. Recycling is happening, we are not disagreeing, but the amount of recycling is very less, what should have been. Plastic can be recycled to 98% almost, but actually it is found in research in many places, although the maximum 60% generally get recycled. So what is happening to so many things? It's basically waste. Nowadays people are dumping waste in the sea because the no space is there. Once we dump material in the sea, that amount of resources which is supposed to be recycled, chance of recycling is completely gone permanently. So what we see here, Somalian war is one of the example where there is natural resources are reduced and then war was created. One of the reason. So climate change has many adverse effect on us which we sometimes do not even know or understand. Economic collapse is another one. Natural disasters such as hurricanes and flood as an effect of global warming process and ends up becoming a costly affair to the government in terms of clean-up cost, rehabilitation. So when you're talking about natural calamities like hurricanes, this is not at all something new, which is happening for many years. 50 years, 100 years, 200 years back also hurricane used to be there, flood used to be there. So why need to worry about now? It is the intensity and how many times it is happening, how often it is happening. Now it is increased. You can see some of the recent hurricane which is there in Bay of Bengal, in other areas near Bombay, near Kolkata. These are not something which is which was there previously. The intensity is much higher. Human health. Research states that more than 150,000 people die of climate change related diseases yearly. And all these viruses, cholera virus, Lyme virus, these are all basically affecting also. There is a saying, even though it is not officially done, but this saying is, and to some extent the saying is true, right? A lot of things are being happening in this atmosphere, in this place, and when people are creating these products, emissions being created. So, whenever we have these emissions, the human health is going to get affected. And so that when the emissions are not just local, it is also global. Now, when we are talking about these emissions, the first thing is coming in the mind that climate change is happening for different reasons. Yes, there are reasons. What are the reasons? The sun's orbit, Earth orbit rotating around the sun, drifting continents, volcanic eruptions, greenhouse gases, all these things are responsible for climate change. But you think, little bit think, what is happening to all this before 50 years, 100 years? All these things are there. There are also volcanic eruptions were there if you see the past history. So what is the major thing which is happening? There is something which is really worrying is the greenhouse gases. The amount of greenhouse gases which we are going to use or emit is much higher now. So many of you, I think many of you know about greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is basically caused by greenhouse gases. So greenhouse effect is where you would have seen greenhouse, especially people who are especially in cultivation or horticulture. They have a house, and it is made of some kind of cover, green cover or plastic cover, and inside there are some plants will be there. So the design of this greenhouse is such a way that when sunlight enters, it enters with heat also. But the heat gets trapped in the greenhouse. So similarly, in the Earth atmosphere also, ideally what should happen is that the solar light is going to come, it's going to, some other portion is going to reflect back, some is going to get absorbed, some portion is going to leave. So then a balance is maintained during the day, and night time more heat is getting dissipated, and similarly there is a balance between day and night, and the temperature is going to get balanced with respect to the weather of that place. Now when these greenhouse gases are there, basically these greenhouse gases is going to trap this heat, not going to allow the heat to come out of this Earth atmosphere that easily. It takes time. So the Earth atmosphere is constantly getting heated up due to this not availability of the way to get out this heat, and that's what the causing is greenhouse. So the question is, what causes this greenhouse? So greenhouse is being caused by greenhouse gas. It is a gas in which the atmosphere that absorbs and emits radiation within the thermal infrared range. This process is the fundamental cause of greenhouse effect. So there are multiple gases which are responsible for greenhouse effect. The first and most important of them, and most commonly, the carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide enters the atmosphere through the burning of fossil fuel, oil, natural gas, coal, soil waste, solid waste, trees, wood products, and also as a result of other chemical reactions. Manufacturing of cement. Carbon dioxide is also removed from atmosphere sequestration, which is absorbed in the plants as a part of the biochemical carbon cycle. Now you can ask question that by default carbon dioxide is a part of the gas which is there in the atmosphere. So what is the problem? Problem is the amount which is going to be there. The amount of CO2 which is naturally occurring, that is fine. But when you add more CO2 in the atmosphere, then it is going to hamper the balance in the heat absorption ability of the atmosphere. So there is a limit, and now we are going and added more beyond the limit. So what we can do? Carbon sequestration. It is done both naturally and artificially. Naturally, if you want to use planting of trees, these trees are lifesavers. These trees are required for us. It is going to give us multiple things, fruits, food. But apart from that, it is also going to give a way to sequester the carbon. Sequester means to absorb the carbon, convert the carbon dioxide into oxygen. Of course, this is happening most of the time is daytime, but that is fine. But researchers have found that even if we plant the trees, carbon dioxide sequestration is important, and we have to do it very fast. So there is some process which has been done to make the carbon in the liquid format, put it in the cylinders and put it under the ground. It is an arrangement to reduce the effect very fast, but not a suitable arrangement, because anything can happen to the cylinder later on after multiple years. So there are certain companies which are doing it, and they are doing it not just there. Sometimes it is required to sequester very fast, so they are doing it. Methane is another one which is emitted during the production of the coal, natural gas, methane emission. So methane is having more potent it is a more potent greenhouse gas. The effect is much more dangerous, something like 4 times as compared to CO2. Nitrous oxide is emitted during the agriculture and industrial activities. Fluorinated gases, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, sulfur hexafluorides. Ozone depleting substances, OFCs, CFCs, halogens. These are many times potent greenhouse gases. These are high GWP, greenhouse warming potential gases. Many times in refrigerators, previous old refrigerators, these gases are being found. So little bit of emission of these gases will have much higher emission effect compared to even normal CO2. These gases are really dangerous for the atmosphere. So if you see the Indian scenario, climate change which is going to affect natural livelihood of people. In India, there are many people who are poor. They are very much dependent on their resources, of the natural resources, and climate change is affecting India a lot because of this. So now let us understand the climate change on especially the emissions, especially in little more way especially India. Per capita income, in this slide you see the per capita emission. Per capita emission of of multiple countries. Per capita income emission means every person how much emission is doing on an average. For Canada is high, United States are also high, Russian Federation is high. Whereas if you see India is much less than even world's average. So then we should be happy, or it should be something to worry? Yeah, we should be happy, right? First thing is coming, yeah, our per capita emission is very less, so why need to worry? People are in other countries, they are doing more emissions than us, which we are fine. Is it true? You think? Is it true or not? So what is the problem? The problem is that total emission. India is having many people compared to other countries. Now I think it is like 1.5 billion, 1.3, 1.4 billion people is going to cross, it just crossed or just going to cross the population of China. Now you see, you multiply per capita emission with the total number of people who are living in India, total population. So total emission, if you see, it is pretty high. However, we need to also see that the emission, total emission, China is contributing to the world is really high and is increasing at a drastic stage, but India is also increasing, Russia is also increasing, US is kind of stabilized. So if you see now, India is on the 4th level from average. Now it is China, United States, European Union, and then India. So amount of emission, total emission is really high for India. Something we need to be careful. We need to understand it is our responsibility for government, for companies, for individuals to reduce the emission of India. Now, we are just talking about emissions, but is it really affecting India? How much is it affecting? We should know first. So floods in India. India is the most flood distressed state in the world after Bangladesh, accounting for 1/5 of the global death every year. 30 million people displaced from every time you see that disaster management group has moved lakhs and lakhs of people from one place to another place. These are not free. They don't do any free job. It is being paid by the government or the local government or the people. Imagine that you are leaving your home for 20 days by force, and then you have to stay from some other place where there is your home is also not there. How much difficult the life is. And this is happening for flood, this is happening for hurricanes when they are coming. So this is something which is expensive. This is something we need to worry about. We are paying taxpayer money to do all these things. 40 million hectares of the land is vulnerable to floods and 8 million hectares affected by it. When flood comes, everything is gone. The first thing in our mind it comes, our important things are there in the home, that is going to get affected. But what we don't understand, that a flood is there for 6 days, the entire cultivation of that area is completely wiped out. Right? How the plants are going to survive? So cultivation is gone, sewage system is gone, power is gone, system is gone, economy is collapsed, food is not there, good water is not there, people are going to move from one place to another place. Where this kind of thing was happening before 50 years, 100 years, think. Top floods in India. 1987, Bihar flood. The flood of 1987 in Bihar was so destructive that it left a total of 1,400 people um, and more than 5,000 animal dead. Another thing, animals. When we're talking about animals, the first thing that come in mind, okay, these animals people are having, but there are also animals which are there in the forest and other places. Though we were not taking care of those effects, and after flood also a lot of big effects are there. So once I was traveling to Sundarban area, and then recently after that big flood, which was recently a few years back, it has come. People are telling that so after the flood, it is so terrible condition that place is. It takes many years to actually make some improvement on it. 20 million people are affected. Droughts, another thing, another big issue in India. Total agricultural land is about 68% is prone to drought, 33% chronically drought prone. And this is more specifically affecting Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. And Rajasthan is having a lot of drought prone. From where the water is going to come? Most of the water either comes from the underground pumping system or river or streams. If the precipitation system get changed, then all these things is going to happen. But now the question is, all these affecting, what are the things that are affecting? It is affecting only in India or some other countries also? Many countries are getting affected. So in India, the heat waves which are there is 1,500. There's so many people are getting killed. Scorching heat nowadays, so many places. There's so many people are getting affected. So many people are dying. Thousands of people got affected in Telangana. And these are not that we are making. News is coming. News is there. If you see the news, old newspapers, a few years back. So all these things are there, right? So what I was telling is, it is affecting even in Pakistan also. In Karachi, Pakistan, you see the people are getting affected due to heat waves. The question is, can we do something on this? The answer is yes, we can do something. We can change the way right now the current condition is. We can make ourselves more sustainable. So before we do this, we have to understand what is sustainability and how we can measure it and how we can develop products which are sustainable.